So first of all, thank you for having me. This is something I've maintained in almost all of my guest lectures, that at least I personally view marketing and sales as two of the core wheels of a vehicle. Marketing creates the demand for a product, and sales then goes to fulfill it, because that's where the demand generation and then fulfillment to actually get revenues comes in. Now, when I say marketing creates demand for a product, I mean anything as a product. It could be a core product, it could be a service, it could be a business idea for which your pitch. Marketing gets you the right product at the right price, in the right time, in the right forms, meeting a specific conflict for consumers, and thereby creates demand for it. So hence, being very, very central to business, marketing is a very, very exciting platform to be working on. If I talk about myself as the brand head of Doritos with PepsiCo India, I almost feel as if I'm a pseudo CEO of this small company called Doritos, wherein, together with a fantastic team, every day we work towards creating better demand for our brand. And then we have a fantastic sales team which goes and fulfills that demand by making the product available. So it is central to the business, and it is hence a very, very powerful function to be in. It will be all the more important. See, understand what COVID is doing to our lives. It's not changing the way the basics function. Marketing will still do the same job of creating demand. Sales will still have to go make the product available for people. Just that the ways of working will change. So for marketeers, maybe the consumer priorities will change, and hence we will have to come up with relevant products, relevant communications, which adhere to this new norm or this new priority. Similarly, sales will still have to make product available, but probably more so in an e-commerce platform, because that's where bulk of the people are buying. So the basics of the business won't change, which is demand creation and supply won't change. However, the way we work will probably change. So to your question, will it continue being relevant? Absolutely, and even more so. But only brands and organizations and institutions that are redeveloping themselves to meet this new normal and new reality will be the ones who will do better than most others. Honestly, these days I get a lot of LinkedIn messages and requests with students, asking similar questions, that we are right now at home. Our colleges won't start for the next 2 months, 3 months, we don't know. So what do we do? And I always guide them, and that's something that I have personally learned. Believe me, when I had started out, fresh out of college as an MBA, joining PepsiCo, I had very similar understanding that marketing is all about making advertisements. It's all about meeting directors and celebs and writing scripts and making films. But I didn't get to make a film in my career for the first 5 years. Brand management and core advertising and core communications is a very, very small part of marketing. There are multiple ways of reaching to a core marketing position. Things like brand activations, then things like revenue management, then things like customer management. All these roles have some or the other form of brand management into it. And then eventually they lead you to a core equity role. However, much before you start even on these journeys, my advice always is to start with sales. And that's what I did. And when I'm telling this to you and hearing me speak that, I'm remembering myself way back when I had started, when I did not like sales at all. I despised it because it's not an easy profession, right? Hitting the ground with salesmen and managing people, that's not the easiest thing to be done, especially after you've done an MBA from a premier school, because all you want to do is make great strategies. But I spent my first 3 years of the career in hardcore sales. I managed 6 direct reportees, 40 distributors in a state called Haryana, which is possibly not the most conducive to women, especially women who are freshers and coming in for work for the first time. But trust me, those were my formation years, which helped me in marketing even now. Because what sales does to you is, A, it gets you good with people skills. B, it gets you closer to retailers and consumers. Because at the end of the day, those are the people who will buy you. A retailer will buy you to sell further, and a consumer will buy you to consume. Unless you know what they are buying you for, what are their challenges, it's very difficult to make that particular proposition, which will eventually make the demand for the product. So I personally feel that I am at an advantage to most other marketeers who have not done a sales profile or a sales stint earlier. And once we've done that and the basics are strong, then there are multiple ways of laddering to core equity roles. Like I said, revenue management, key account management, on-ground activations, various other ways to ladder. Two parts to the answer. Number one, it greatly depends upon what certification, what's the value of that certification, and even more than that, what have you really learned from it? Now, let me tell you, organizations these days are very smart. If the eventual goal for you to do a certification is for you to get a better job and a better placement, believe you me, most organizations in hiring HRs and managers will know how to see through beyond the certifications that you have mentioned on your resume and peek into what you really need. And I think the starting point for you should not be what certification should I do, but it should be what is the kind of role I want to land at. After I've, let's say, done my MBA, or after, let's say, 2 years of working, what's the core role that I want to be in? And then work backwards to say that these are the key skills I need to build to be in that role. Then further work backwards to say that for those skills, these are the modules, programs, courses that I need to go through to learn. Now, if they get you a certification with it, great. If they don't get you a certification, for example, the very interview that you and I are doing right now, that could probably lead with some skills just by hearing, but this will have no certification. But the learning will stay with the individual through the interviews that he or she takes. Certifications do help you with a validation that you know a lot, but that validation is very momentary. The moment you talk and express your thoughts around a particular topic, and if you don't know about it, then the certification may not help. Thank you for that question, and it's a very interesting one and very relevant, especially in the current times. I personally feel that I myself had started very late on that realization, but I do know that this is something that's burning for a lot of students and even professionals for that matter. Like you rightly said, of course, articles and newspapers are a source, but I just feel that something which is a bit more accessible and a bit more convenient is accessed more. Yes. So what works for me as a professional, because I have a longish, work schedule, are things like LinkedIn and brand equity app. I follow a set of people who I know can answer my queries, who I know have a good point of view on things that matter to me. And every time that they post, they write, I am able to read. So reading, of course, is a great habit, whether it happens on phone or whether it happens on, pen and paper articles, it works either ways. Also, case studies really help. Harvard Business Review case studies, these are some great sources to go to if you want to build core business knack, because at the end of the day, marketing is business. It's about selling things in a profit and earning back so that you can reinvest. So that helps. The third tip that I'll provide is seeing a lot of advertisement helps, because you know what's being spoken to and how. Something that I can really comment very confidently right now is that work from home as a culture will evolve, exponentially, and that culture is here to stay for some time. More so because I think all of us have now learned that work from home is not as bad. Work from home may not be as productive. It can never be as productive. But now that we've been forced to work from home for a longer period and longer duration, much outside of most of our choices, we've realized that it can be far more productive, provided utilized well. So I think that culture and its acceptance is there now, and it is here to stay. Now, in what forms and manner will it evolve? Something that we have to see. It's very industry to industry, honestly. Industries wherein you need to be in person, and without that, if the work doesn't happen, then you will have to be. Now, newer metrics of even evaluation might come in. first point there is now is the best time to invest in self-capability because we have time. We're not traveling out. We're not hanging around out. So picking up modules, picking up skills that we would have wanted to pick up otherwise is a good option, is a good idea. Number two, staying connected with industry professionals at this time is very important because soon things will go back to the new normal. Rehirings would start, internships would come back. So good to be in touch with the network in whatever forms and manners and using whatever platforms is possible. But do keep in touch. It's important to be socially connected even more now when you are at a social distancing. Okay. Number three, I've had friends who had graduated from MBA in 2008, which was possibly the worst economic recession we've seen. I agree that times today may not be directly comparable, but that's the best surrogate I could look at. And even students who had graduated at that time are doing great right now. Yes, so I don't want anyone to worry that this is probably a bad year to have graduated or to do an MBA. I think each one of us will figure our own space. So don't worry. Worrying is the last thing that you need to do right now.